And we are live on Hot Tag Takes on HamiltonRadio.net, channel HR2. I am your host, John BRECKO, and this is the show on Hamilton Radio where we have to zoom out the chairs because Ruben said I have no damn friends. Can you believe this guy? He acts like I make fun of him every show. How dare he? Oh, man. Ruben, how you doing tonight, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing pretty good, man.
Doing good?
I'm doing good, feeling great.
Yeah, man, you haven't come back to the gym yet since the last time I was with you. What's going on here?
Well, it's only been a week.
I was going to say, I'm looking at your head, and I'm thinking you're skipping the wrong days. I'm thinking you're not skipping Grease Day.
Grease Day?
Yeah, man.
What's Grease Day?
Like you're putting on the oil, and you're not able to put it anywhere else. What's going on?
What are you talking about, man? I'm always
You're always oily? That's pretty weird.
Hey.
You're over there in the studio box, and you're talking about being oily. What's wrong with you?
Am I talking about being oily, or are you talking about being oily? Shh. Or are you just in the mood for some fried chicken?
They don't need to know.
Are you just in the mood for fried chicken? That's why you talking about oil?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
See, he winks at me.
That's right. Anyways, everybody.
Well, no, I mean, the gym feels great. I'm not going to lie. It feels kind of, after the next day, I feel the soreness and everything.
Well, I would hope. That means it's working.
Yeah, that's why, believe it or not, I read that on WebMD, believe it or not. And
yeah, man.
That means
you missed that. You missed this Saturday. We were doing squats and we were doing duck walks. You should have been there.
Well, I'm going to try to do the next one. I want to try to do half and half, but I need my legs, so I'm going to do like maybe the chest and maybe lightly on the legs.
Yeah, man. Zaki was wobbling after that one.
Oh, yeah.
But if anybody wants to come, I do workouts at Savage City Strength up in Hillsboro at 7 p.m. So far, there's been somebody there every single week, and I've been very, very happy about the support. So thank you guys for coming out and showing up and putting yourselves through that so that I can make something out of this. I really, really appreciate it.
Jason, I can actually say something nice about him for once.
Well, before you get to the compliment that you're going to give me, let me officially introduce our guest. We have an actor, we have a writer, we have somebody hosting an event tomorrow that I want him to be able to talk about. We have a radio show host at Hamilton Radio, and I am very, very excited to have this man on this show. It's been months in the making, so ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, give it up for Jason MARINKO! I ran out of breath. All right, but Jason, what's up, man? How you doing? How's everything been? How you living?
Thank you for the astounding introduction, John. Tremendous. And I'm so happy, like you said, months in the making. So happy to be here on Hot Takes with you, John. And I caught your channel and watched interviews, and you have a good show with you keep it light and interesting, and that's what's important.
I mean, I try to, man, and I really appreciate the kind words. But what I want to talk about a little bit more, because we're on my show, we could talk about that at any time. You were doing a show, WTF, with Tracy and friends. It's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. You guys should definitely go check it out. I might actually pop by and try to visit because I'm usually not able to go because I have work, but I get a couple days off for Thanksgiving, which I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, but I might pop by there. So, I mean, talk to me about the experience, man, because one day you kind of just popped on there, and I noticed you just kept coming back.
I did. We Tracy was my very first interview, and wonderful to have me as a guest. We acted in a show together, a play, and when she had her own podcast, I said, this is for you. She has great charisma and personality for it. Yeah. She brought me on when the books came out and said to me when I came back a month later, if you want to come back on, just pop by on Wednesdays. I said, I'd love to. And we just had a blast every Wednesday for, I guess, about 2 solid months we were on. And I even, in a few times when she wasn't able to host, I was able to host myself. And that was an experience in itself.
Oh, dude, that's something. How was that being able to, host your own show? How was that?
The first show, I had topics, I had everything to talk about, ran down, and, I talk fast.
Right.
And I'm looking over at Ruben. I had gone through every single thing I had to talk about within about 20 minutes. I'm going, All right, now we really gotta pace things out here. But fortunately, super producer Double R Rodriguez was able to guide me through that first show.
So
And
I
the
guess I
next show,
guess I guess Ruben was just kind of ad libbing with you for a little bit.
yeah, kind of like
Right.
someone else to talk to in the studio there, which is makes a difference.
Ruben's good at that. I gotta say this about Ruben. Whenever you talk to Ruben on the phone, like you feel like you're talking to a significant other because he just won't shut the fuck up. Like Ruben just keeps going on and on and on, and he'll repeat the same points
He
about four
starts
or
getting
five
into
times. You'll
stories.
just be sitting there. All right, okay, Ruben, gotcha, Ruben. Sounds good. Okay, like you're just talking to like a significant other, just rattling on the phone
Yep.
for ages and ages, and it just keeps going. So I could see Ruben being good at ad libbing. He's done it on this show before. I pretend like he hasn't. But I mean, how did it go after that? Because he ran out of topics after like the first 20 minutes. You kind of learned to, pace things out a little bit. How was it, after the first show?
After the first show, we were more prepared because we knew that we were doing it that time. And we had clips set up and everything. We talked about like Beverly Hills Cop, the Axel Foley was coming out on Netflix. We had clips and freaking I paid tribute to South Park where I said it's gone from being a show about foul-mouthed little kids to being like our moral compass. And we got the video got taken down because Paramount, I think we had too long of a clip of the Ozempic special
They're
on
just they're
South
just
Park.
they're just mad because nobody asked for South Park to be a moral compass. Like that's not what South Park was for.
But it's become one.
But well,
It's
but
become
why? Like why are we sitting here
they're the
mad
only
that
ones
you're
telling the
turning
truth.
this into that? I don't understand
Where
that.
they went from being just the only ones telling the truth about things through satire. It's really true. I mean, where they have just they had the COVID special where
Nice.
everybody was everybody went broke except Randy who's selling weed, and the Ozempic special where it showed where like these middle-aged moms are all getting high on these needles of Ozempic at these parties, and it's not good for anyone, but that's what the kind of stuff that was on there. So we had trailers for movies and we paced the show out and it was a great show, and Ruben cut that and got the show put back on.
I just
So
want to say that all I need from South Park is that episode where they all got cancer to smoke weed and they were just hopping around on their ball sacks like a bunch of fucking kangaroos.
the one that does it for me is the Human Centipede iPad
Oh
one,
God.
where if you hit I accept on the long Apple turns, it means that Apple can come to your house and turn your butthole into a plat. You ever seen the Human Centipede horror
Ruben, I
film?
get I get why you like Jason so much. He's into a lot of weird shit like you. Find out Jason's got an iPad fetish on Hamilton Radio.
Oh no, just the iPhone. No tablets.
Oh, okay. No tablets. We have a size limit. All right. You probably picked the wrong guide for the host of the show. I'm just letting you know that now. Jason, I'm so fat when I see somebody with a widow's peak haircut, I think of the McDonald's symbol. Listen, do you watch football, sir?
I love football.
I just want to let you know that I'm so fat when I see Patrick Mahomes play football, I think of the Hawaiian Punch Kid.
I'm a
I'm just.
Raiders fan, John.
You're
Fuck
what?
Patrick Mahomes. I'm a
What?
Raiders fan. I can't stand that dude.
I'm sorry for your loss.
It's all right. You can't be good all the time, It ebbs and flows.
Listen, I'm just happy we have Saquon. I have never loved the
Oh,
Giants so much as I have
it's
right now.
I love it when the Eagle people say we
That's
as the
okay.
collective we.
We are a collective. We are together.
Yeah, he's
That's
won one
why our
Super
records are
Bowl
flip
in a half
flopped.
century.
I'm
But
just
no,
saying I
he's
have
doing
never.
amazing things for the Giants. I mean, for the Eagles. It
I'm
really
just
is
I'm just
something.
saying I have never loved the Giants more than I have right now. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. No, but what's your favorite sports? As we're talking about sports, are you a football guy?
Yeah, primarily football. Yeah.
Okay, and you're a Raiders fan, you said.
Yep, silver and black for life. Yep.
I was about to say, life hasn't been good for a while, huh?
No, no, it's been a few bad decades.
Dude, I don't think I remember a good time since Jerry Rice was on the team.
Yeah,
If I
I
think
mean, we had
about
the
it.
year where we were gonna. They look, there I go. Where we made the playoffs, but Carr got injured in the final game before the playoffs. That was a couple of years ago. But you
That
can't.
was a
You,
nice run.
I think it's a testament to character of someone who is not a fair weather fan.
Right.
Through good times and bad, you ride or die with who your team is. And I think if you're like that, if you're a fair weather fan in with stuff like sports, you're probably a fair weather friend, et cetera, down the line.
Yeah.
Like if the Eagles are bad the next couple of years, you're gonna like still like the Eagles, right?
Well, of
Yeah.
course, I have since I was 10.
Right. You got people that are like, oh, they'll jump somebody else. Oh, well, San Fran's hot now.
Nah,
So
I can't do that. I did know a guy who jumped to whatever team Peyton Manning was on back in high school.
that's weird.
That was pretty it was kind of funny though, like watching like the jump from one team to the other and like seeing the different jerseys.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I don't like one dude that much. You
Like,
know,
dude, listen. I understand being a fan of a team. I don't understand Tom Brady fans. Is what I'm trying to say.
Gosh. Yeah. You either like him or you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. Like he's quarterback. That's great. I'm not gonna like or dislike somebody just over one player.
I
You
will
know,
say this. Did you watch that Tom Brady roast on Netflix?
I did. Did you
That
watch
was
that Nikki
wonderful.
Glazer set?
She was good. Hinchcliffe got her too. He's like,
Oh,
that was
Hinchcliffe
an
was
amazing
great.
set. Where has that been through your career? I mean, she ripped them up when she got to Kreischer, and she said, Bert, I love your joke. Like,
Shirts is
your
supposed to
joke.
stay on, but he takes it
Oh
off.
man. Yeah, and the people you didn't, I mean, I know people wrote for them and everything, but even Brady had some zingers when he got back at him. He
I
said
mean,
the
here's
Bills are the mafia. He says, even how are you the mafia? You don't have a ring.
here's the thing. Nikki Glaser is such an underrated roaster.
Hmm,
Like nobody look at like you can look at some of the past roasts she's done. I think she did Justin Bieber. What else?
you know your roast then. Yeah, yeah. You're
Well,
going back on it.
I know it wasn't I know this one wasn't for this person, but I remember her roasting Blake Griffin. I just know it wasn't
Blake
a Blake
Griffin
Griffin
had a
roast.
roast.
I know it wasn't for Blake Griffin. I just know he was
He
one of the
happened to be
people that
there.
was on the stage for that. And I
I
just
got you.
remember her
Okay. He happened
specifically
to be.
roasting Blake Griffin. Like I remember when she said, "You look like a black guy that got made by a printer running out of ink," and I was just done with my life.
Yeah. Some of them, and that's her joke. Like nobody wrote that.
Oh,
That's when it's
100%.
genuine. Yeah. No, the
100%.
roaster, they need to have more of them. They're tremendous.
No,
And
dude.
Hinchcliff was tremendous. He went up there. He said to Brady, "Nice shoes, bitch. Do you win them in the divorce?" He
Dude,
said, Brady
honestly,
said,
have you ever seen Kill Tony?
The best program on television.
Okay. Yeah, no. I mean,
Beautiful show.
it was just like watching it for like 4 or 5 minutes, except Tony was the one on stage and nobody got to roast him afterward. I was kind of sad about it. Why did nobody come for Tony Hinchcliffe after that? Is what I want to know.
Yeah. I mean, that's his thing though. He destroys on
Oh
those.
my god.
You
He was
know?
absolutely phenomenal on that night. Nah, yeah.
And he's
Um
so quick. You know what I mean? I mean,
right.
there's being fast and having good timing, but his stuff's like lightning.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have to set up; it's just there, and that's a great ability that he has.
Somebody should have just called him White Lightning.
Mm,
That's what they should have done. He gets to the point and he finishes quickly. Good job, Tony Hinchcliffe.
keep it
But
up.
anyways, so we have this book sitting over here covering this empty chair that PJ is not taking up. Thanks a lot, Ruben. Make it real obvious for everybody. But it's called Time the Avenger for anybody that doesn't know, and I'll read the back of it so everybody has a little bit of a gist. I don't want to give too much away, but I'm going to read the back a little bit. So, partake in a telling that proves you never get too old to take your revenge and come to understand just what really makes a massacre. When a one time friend and former classmate is beaten to death, one of the main characters, I'm not going to give out names, is forced to reflect on her tumultuous past. Travel back with her to the halls of Middleton High, 1988, when the course of her life and the fabric of her existence were forever altered when she met one of the other characters. Time the Avenger is a temporally complex action thriller built around impeccably crafted characters, vivid spatial environments, and multi-layered social relationships. Ultimately, the novel perfectly balances intimate scenes of domesticity, friendship, and social friction with almost cinematic action sequences brimming with sensorial intensity. So that was a quote from Nicholas Kay, the editor of Palmetto Publishing. And the sickle is sharpened, the hourglass empty, and the time is here for an interstate ride of murder, mayhem, and revenge. So I did talk to you a little bit about this before the show. I have not finished the book. I'm actually quite early on in it, but you're setting the groundwork right now for where I'm at. You have the characters kind of getting set up. You have the beginning part where the murder happened. I have an idea of who it is, but I'm obviously a little bit too early in the story to know. But you have the girl who was murdered. You have her best friend from high school. You have the boyfriend, who I think is going to play a little bit more of a role later on. So far, I've met a shitty teacher that only cares about athletes. And I have the male protagonist, who I think is the male protagonist anyway of the story. You're smiling at me. I feel like I have some things wrong, but that's okay.
No. You're moving along nicely. You're in.
Yeah, and you're setting the scene right now with the male protagonist and the female protagonist. I think you obviously know who that is. Again, I don't want to give out names away, but you're setting the scene, you're setting them up with their home life, you're setting them up with their lives at school, and they seem very different. You seem like you have one person, the female, who, has a group of friends that, she's outgrown. Life overall seems fine, but, the only thing is that, she's just really outgrown some of the people that she's around. And then you have the male protagonist. There's a lot more going on. There's people at school that are bugging him. There's a crappy home life with an alcoholic father looking for a job, which is never a good situation. And, somehow their paths are going to cross. They're going to meet, develop some sort of bond. And something is going to go, haywire, and things are going to go down south really, really quick in the story. So I feel like what's going to happen is we're going to find out who the murderer is in the story. And I feel like when you're setting up the scenes, you're kind of setting up, for that to happen almost. Am I right in assuming that, or are you going to take me on a twist that I'm not really expecting?
You're pretty much almost all accurate.
Okay.
I'd say you get the gist of it and everything. But as far as things happening quickly, not so much so.
Okay.
The story begins in the late 1980s and comes full circle back to 2008. So it's very difficult to categorize your book after you wrote a book like this, because it's not a horror book. It's reality based. It's not a thriller book because it's just not like thrills around every corner and suspense. It's a coming of age. Like they always ask you when you're doing like your ISBN and your barcodes and everything, and what book do you compare your book to? And I don't really have a comparative. which was that editor that you read that so lovely from on the back of the book. I never met that man from Adam.
That was a lot of big
Um,
words.
but when he said that, it was such a good feeling to see his takeaway from that. Because as I told you earlier, Time the Avenger is a screenplay, and when he said cinematic sequences, I'm like, this guy gets it. That what he got everything that the book was. But what I wanted to do was do a story. That I'm Generation X all the way.
Right.
And I wanted to touch into that because I got to experience that wonderful time period of the late 80s that people are so nostalgic about now. It's outrageous. But the late 80s into, going through there. And it is true that tagline, you do never get too old to take your revenge.
Yeah.
We see it every day. Things occur where, this guy had a job that he felt did him wrong, came back 20 years later and did God knows what.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do I read the classic book, The Count of Monte Cristo, while I was writing Time the Avenger.
Okay.
And in the introduction to that, he says Sir Alexander Dumas, who also wrote the Three Musketeers, he said it's set up, and then the latter half is satisfaction for the reader. You said it perfectly. I'm setting you up here. I'm setting it all up, laying out the characters, the situation, the scenarios, the towns, the antagonist. Nobody's really good or bad, but the bad people I have to make bad to justify what happens to them. So when I have to ask what story do you compare it to, I say Carrie without the supernatural stuff.
Okay.
And if Carrie was an adult later in life, because I didn't want to do some kind of like, some kid like, problems at the school and he does something to his classmates. That
Right.
I'm not about that. But later in life as an adults, do people have to answer as adults for
Yeah.
what they did when they're kids? And it's not just about that. It's about regression. Where something happens. I listened to Jenna Jameson, adult film actress,
Right.
and I read her book, fantastic book, How to Make Love Like a Porn Star. And in that book, she talks about how, she had always thought she was raped by somebody she was dating's uncle. But when she's on the Stern show and Stern goes, "Wow, man, you don't really look like a porn chick at all." He's like, what happened? Were you like raped? I mean, he was able to be that way on that show back in the day.
Yeah. No,
And
for sure.
that's where she starts the book off. She had completely suppressed this in her memory that she was actually raped when she lived in her hometown and everything. And it just like popped into her head as she's on air. And,
Yeah.
I just think that it's easy to regress as an adult.
A lot of
Being
people
human is
have
so hard.
memories they suppress and they just completely forget about. And then, 10, 15 years later, for whatever reason, they just kind of start remembering different things. I remember, different memories of me swimming because I'm a swim instructor. I've been doing that for a few years. And I started remembering, different times of just me swimming in the pool, me learning how to swim, me standing on the edge, me sitting by the stairs. And I mean, they're kind of tame memories, but you just, you never think of it, and then all of a sudden, something just makes it just pop back in your head. So basically, I'm not trying to give too much away, but what's kind of
You
happening
can
here,
speak about what you wish to. You can name the characters. It's cool
yeah.
because people got to read it to get to the end of it anyway to know what happens. It's fine.
But basically, what's kind of happening is, whatever's going to happen, people are going to suppress it for a while. I feel like, the female already did kind of suppress things, and then they kind of came back
Oh yeah.
when this girl was found dead.
Yeah.
So
It all comes crashing back to her.
do
Yes.
I have a question. Does the male protagonist end up suppressing a lot of these things that are going to happen?
No, I think with both of them is, just like, that enduring human spirit, like you deal with things and, you don't throw in the towel on life. You try to, you try to make life work for yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes, no matter in spite of your best efforts, something traumatic is still going to happen,
Right.
and that can send you spiraling. Uh, and in this, like I said, this traverses states and time. And once you get going, it's hard to come out of that spiral.
Yeah.
And it's some people have what they call triggers nowadays.
Yeah.
1988, what you said about what the kids going through in the school, they didn't even call it bullying then. They didn't even have a word for it.
They
It
just
was
said he was.
just
They just said he was picking on him.
maybe, yeah, that's about it. Like you could see, like the teacher, the authority figure, like he's not really, he cares about what he cares about, and he don't care about you getting beat up in the hallway. That's like whatever. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't need to watch anything more than like Karate Kid to understand that.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
these things did and could happen. And as somebody asked me once, there was like, is this story like biographical for you? And I'm like, no, but not by any means. These characters are created; they're original characters, but they are a reflection of life that I've known,
Right.
situations I've been around.
So, on that note, what was the inspiration for Time the Avenger? Because you obviously got inspiration from it somewhere. What exactly was the inspiration? Was there like any specific situation maybe that comes to mind, or
Speaking with my girlfriend about a situation in her school, she talked about someone who she was with, the girls, the clique, whatever you call it,
right?
but she again was still an individual herself, and they had someone who was a pariah in the school, and this guy wanted to build an explosive and bring it to the school, but it wound up going off in his home.
Oh,
And I'm
sheesh.
watching. Yeah, I'm washing the dishes as she's telling me this, and she goes, I told you about that before, Jay." And I stopped the sink, and I'm like, "No, I'd remember if you told me this."
Yeah, I would remember a bomb going off in somebody's house.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
it's a
hell of a
pipe
thing to
bomb.
tell somebody.
So it blew up in the basement of the guy's house. And from what I gathered, I don't want to know too much from her, but what she told me is that it did cause lifelong damage to the guy. And a lot of her friends gave her a hard time for visiting him in the hospital after, because there was a grudge. Like, he wanted to blow up the school. Why are you visiting this guy? And she knew why he was doing what he was doing. And like I said, I turned the sink off and I'm like, all right, well, where's he at now? And again, things are different in the 80s. It's like, case in point, let's
Right.
say you were hammered and driving your car, and you ran into like a curb or something, but you didn't hurt no one else or anything.
Right.
They just make sure you are all right, you go home. I said, well, what happened with the guy? She's like, it wasn't like that then, Jay. It's like not like people, like he blew up like his basement in the house, and he had to move away. Like you just can't go to school here no more. Like,
Yeah.
well, what if he comes back? And that's the premise of Time the Avenger. What if they come back?
Okay. So basically, it's just, a what if, he comes back, what's going to happen then?
Yeah, yeah. There's a great movie from I think 1991 called Flatliners,
Okay.
where it's not considered a great movie, but at the time it's Julia Roberts and all her classmates at this college, they put themselves under to where they're legally dead, and their memories start coming back to them. And I can't remember if it was Kevin Bacon or Kiefer Sutherland, but one of them like fucked with this kid mercilessly, and he starts seeing the kid, in their regular lives. And I always think about that, and I'm just just that idea. And again, my inspiration, the great revenge stories, Count of Monte Cristo, Cape Fear, big one is Cape Fear. It's 14 years, counselor. So the Max Cady character in both the Robert De Niro and Robert Mitchum Cape Fear. Sleepers, another great one, written by Lorenzo Cacatero. It's a movie about these kids that were in a reform school that were later in life get back at the guards who abused them there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
it's
am I am actually I am actually curious. I mean, and feel free if you don't want to answer any of these, that's fine cuz this was, based off of conversation you had. I mean, was the guy who was, going to blow up the school, was he friends with, the girlfriend or whoever you were talking to at the time?
Not friends per se, but you know, she relayed to me. I was one of the few people who was decent to him, and I knew he would not have wanted to hurt me. You
Right.
know,
Okay.
and again, the girlfriends being like what that. I mean, that's the structure of the story.
Got it.
I hear that, and I can create a story around that, and that's what I really did with that one.
Yeah.
But
No, that makes sense. But
But it's not all, and I'd like to just say this about it. It's, I have a lot of friends that are like, I don't like scary, I don't like this and that. It's a reality-based story. It's a coming of age story, and there's a lot of humanity mixed into all the chaos.
doesn't seem all that scary to me, to be honest. I saw somebody get drunk and I saw two people fight.
You'll get there.
So far, that's what I've seen. But I do
Just
want to.
remember this, John. Everybody gets a trophy.
Nah, I don't think so.
You'll know
But
when you get there.
no, I'm good. But I do want to say this. So we talked about this a little bit before we went on the air. You were actually gonna. The original plan for this was to kind of make it into like a 3-act stage play, right?
Screenplay,
So
yes.
for some reason, it didn't go through, but I'm thinking about this right now, and I'm thinking about the story that I've read so far. I could see this being like, maybe a little bit more of like a Netflix show, maybe something that's like episodic or like has seasons or something. I could see it like being like that. So, I mean, I guess this is more of like a two-part question. How come no one wanted to take it on as a stage play? And do you see this kind of being like its own like episodic thing possibly in the future?
I would absolutely love that. I at that time when I wrote the screenplay, Amazon was accepting unsolicited screenplays,
Okay.
Amazon Studios. Other than that, I've just never really queried or looked for representation. I don't have a literary agent. This is self-published.
Right.
I went through a press. Ruben knows I worked myself into exhaustion because at a certain point I had put so much effort into the book and making the story right. I wanted to make sure that it was a nice finished product.
Right.
So I worked a night job for 2 years, and I said I'm going to self-publish this. So I didn't really, go the traditional route or try to find a traditional publisher. So when I didn't hear anything from Amazon, you can't just write a story and go to Warner Brothers. They don't
Yeah.
accept unsolicited screenplays. But I would absolutely love to do it as an episodic. My short story collection is more episodic than Time the Avenger. Time
Yeah.
the Avenger is written like a 120-page script.
Yeah.
But my short story collection definitely episodic.
Yeah.
And but
I'm just
I
thinking about it in my head, like
I
something happens.
appreciate your confidence in it. No,
No, like I'm thinking about it in my head, like something happens at school, people go home, you kind of like set the scenes, in their lives, like with them going home, obviously they're going to encounter each other at like one of these episodes, shit's going to hit the fan, somewhere toward the end of like a season. And then, at the end of all that, you have, some sort of climax. And then like season 2, it's kind of like into the future a little bit, repressed memories come back, you know, shit kind of hits the fan and we kind of get to the present day a little bit more. And then, we find out who the murderer is, that whole thing happens. And then it kind of goes from there. I'm literally just kind of like brainstorming in my head
And
right now,
I
so
am
don't mind
enjoying
me.
it. I am enjoying it every second of it. This is wonderful. No, just to hear your thoughts and take on it. It really is insightful for me as well, because you could get to a point where you don't know what your book reads like to someone else.
Yeah.
You've gone over chapter 1 2,000 times.
Yeah, no, I
So
can imagine that. And then all the chapters kind of blend together to you, I'm sure.
Yes, it's just, and that's why you have to get a good editor. Anyone wanting to write your own story or self-publish your own book, if you have any resources, you have to put them towards an editor
Yeah.
because they'll give you that other set of eyes that's like, yeah, you're thinking this, but this really comes across like such. So
Okay.
I am pleased with the outcome there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the guy that was on the back of this book, was he the editor, for this book, or was he a different one?
He was the third editor.
The third editor. How many
Yes,
how
I
many
had.
editors do you normally need for a book? I'm curious now.
John, there's a book and it's a instructional for writers and it's called I Just Wanted to Write. And that's really just saying like even someone who has a traditional publisher, you have to self-promote like no other.
Yeah.
You really have to be your own marketing. And for people that, I mean, fortunately for me, I like talking about books and movies and everything else. So it comes kind of natural to me.
Yeah.
But people who are just quiet and writers, they have a hard time with things. And I had a initial editor, which was from the Hamilton Township Library Group, where I joined a writing group there,
Okay.
and they did me a real solid. Writing mentor of mine, Rod Richards, because there's line editing and then there's copy editing. Line editing is your punctuation shitty.
Right.
Copy editing is you said this happened in 1989, but then this happened over here, and they wouldn't be juniors in high school at that time. So he did his best to do both of those, which is a very difficult task. And then I went for the second edit. And then at that point, like I told you, I was like, well, you already like do it all the way, like get a professional publishing house. And that's who does the print of the book at Palmetto. So he is the third person to get to go through it with a fine edit. And I really do appreciate the words that he gave there because that was let me know he got the book.
Yeah, man, for sure. 100%. So I do want to talk about this a little bit. Like, how did you like start just, writing in general? Because I think when I went over to your website, I did see at least one other book, if I'm not mistaken. I went over there a little while. I don't remember too much about the book. So, how did you start writing and what was kind of like the order of events for like Time the Avengers, as well as the other book, if you want to share?
This is Jason Marinko's Starry Nightmares. It's an
There it is.
anthology collection, and it is a collection of short stories similar in the world of Time the Avenger, but you don't have to read one to read the other.
Okay.
And these are all reality-based suspense thrillers. These are stories that, again, I've either been around or, there's a lot of realism in my stories.
So that's the
There is.
episodic one.
This would definitely be an episodic
Okay.
because every story is completely different and touches on different things. Kind of an urban crime feel, but also, stories happen out in the mountains too. I have a
Right.
story called Mountain Hill Road where
Nice.
this couple gets stuck on a road going to visit relatives in PA and they just run into trouble with locals
Oh
and
boy.
things right. Yeah. Well, we got stuck. I had a four-cylinder car and we got rerouted through GPS. And we're at the top of this icy Mountain Hill Road in middle of Pennsylvania. And my girlfriend's like, just floor it. I'm like, I am
Heck.
flooring it. I truly said to her, I'm like, you're gonna have to get out of the car. Like, cause if I let off and try to floor it again, it ain't happening. And we're gonna skid. No guardrail to the right, just a drop. And
Yeah.
that scary anxiety led me to this story.
Yeah, no,
And
I'm
in any
not I'm
case,
not taking that drop like Coyote chasing Roadrunner. We're not doing this.
she took offense to it. I thought I'm telling her she had to get out of the car because it would lighten the weight of the car that it would get off. What I had to do was kind of like you ever see the skiers where they come down and they go side to side? So I'd floor it to the right, brake, floor it to the left, and wedge my way up
Yeah,
the
no, you'll be
icy.
out of that car like a slingshot. Like nobody's
Yeah,
trying to see anybody look like a slinky right now. Like what are
true.
we doing here, man?
Yeah, but that would be the episodic. That is, and I published them both at the same time because COVID happened, and you can't have a book release when no one can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And through the writing group, I had written enough short stories that I had enough for a volume there. And I said, well, let's do them both at the same time. And
Yeah, might as
that's
well.
what happened there.
I mean, I'm thinking in my head like, like what if you did a thing where you kind of like took all the short stories and then kind of
Okay.
like combined the books and somehow like connected them together. Like obviously it doesn't have to be like these two specifically, but like something like that in general.
I like how you think. World building, right?
Yeah,
It's
man.
yeah, it's awesome.
It's all
Yeah,
got to
and I
connect.
and if Starry Nightmares is some of my world, Time the Avenger gives me the bones of it. It gives me
Right.
that time frame
It's
of
a
things from
skeleton.
1988. Yeah, so I can. Yeah, you know what was really fun about Time the Avenger was like
Can
I
I just say
revisit.
how appropriate it is to have the skeleton on here now? Like, I just want to point that out. I'm sorry.
That is the actual tattoo, Time the Avenger. That's what it's called.
Oh, nice.
And there's many different variations of the Avenger tattoo. And in the film Cape Fear, it's just a hooded individual. But yeah, it's very common. It's actually a song by the Pretenders, which I did not know. So it really messes up search
Nice.
engines and all. But yeah, that I really wanted to get that into the cover, and the cover design people, they made a really kick-ass cover for me on this. I couldn't be more pleased than what they came up. I said it should look like a movie poster, and damned if they didn't give me that.
Oh no, 100%. No,
I was like,
they did.
don't give me a book cover. Give me a movie poster.
Yeah, man, that's like the end, that's like the end of an episode like after like he just, like committed the murder
Yep.
and now he's just looking at the sky and you see kind of see his reflection back in it.
Hmm.
Like it's like one
Yep.
of those.
You dig it.
Uh
Yep. You got it.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, just to share a little something about me. So, I'm a big anime fan, right?
Okay, sure.
And I think, you know, there's a lot of different stories that you watch that, just build and build and build and build on each other. And then you set up all these different building blocks and, you build a whole world around, what's going on. And then after a while, you wonder what's going on in this place, what's going on in this place. They release different short stories, on the side of like what's going on here, what's going on there. And it's almost like a whole different, community that you just made. You know what I mean? So, I mean, wrestling does it too. I'm a big wrestling fan.
I know
And
you are. I love the updates.
yeah, man.
I wanted to make sure I asked you, have you seen the Vince McMahon documentary?
I saw the first episode. What I heard
Okay.
about it is it's like a lot of stuff that typical wrestling fans know already. But like if somebody's watching this like mainstream, you're just like, ah, shit, what's going
It,
on here?
it, Yeah, I mean, I know you know your wrestling, so they do touch in the first episode about him kind of telling the territories like it's mine. I'm signing everybody. Um, and it really could have been like a 5 part like Michael Jordan Last Dance type thing.
Oh my god.
But I mean, I'm a WWF fan from back then and everything, and
Right.
I've been to house shows where with Georgie Animal Steel, and
Wow.
I have a great appreciation for professional wrestling. I think the way those guys live on the road 52 weeks a year is incredible, and I think it's one of our great American forms of entertainment that we have, and it's just not it's reliable like football is. It's seasonal. We know football's coming. It's something that we have. And wrestling is I've gotten to go to a few of the shows at the Trenton Arena there.
Okay.
And what a live show they put on,
Have
man.
you ever met a guy that walks around in a Dusty costume?
Dusty Rhodes?
Not like actual Dusty Rhodes, but like a Dusty Rhodes impersonator.
I have not, no.
Okay. Because I was just going to say, he's been on this show before. His name's Mike Raimondi. Really cool guy. He's from Monroe. I think Cody Rhodes actually brought him up on one of the shows, like had him like come in the ring and everything.
Get out.
Yeah, no, but no, it was a really cool experience having him on. He's a really cool dude. But yeah, no, he lives, right around the corner in Monroe and he came on here one time. Good guy to know, man.
I'll tell you, the guys like Rhodes, Flair, those guys could have jumped ship at any time back in the day and just went with Vince, but they didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
They stayed firm with who they were with. And
That's
Flair.
because when they did go over, he gave them polka dots and made them shuck and jive.
That was at the bitter end where I think things were just kind of there wasn't, you didn't have Ted Turner at that time to give you that solid backing in competition. So when Dusty went over, he was in the black and the yellow polka dots. But I just think, where you were talking about memories and everything, and like with the swimming and time and place,
Yeah.
I'm watching Warrior Hogan when Hogan drops the belt to Warrior and passes the torch, so to say.
Yeah.
And do you understand? Like, I'm like 11 years old, how devastating that was. Where like, this is the champion of champions, man. He does not lose.
You ended up being fine a year later. It's okay. He came
I
back.
know that, but I'm just telling you, like, when something happens, it's like in that movie Devil, where the superstitious guy goes, when you drop the toast, it never lands on the side it was buttered. Just like when a mother has a baby in its hands and it drops it, and she always catches it before its head hits the counter. The head hit the counter that night, my friend. We were like, what?
You probably hit your own head on the counter that night. Let's be real. You might have banged it on the wall on the way too. You might have left a hole in it.
Wrestling chronicles my youth. From your first WrestleMania on, I mean, all of those, it's just like, you could say where you were at this place in time. The Giant, Hogan slamming the Giant and everything. And, more recently,
I was negative 8 years old.
Of course you were. So you missed out. All right. And I'll tell you this one, The Rock Hogan WrestleMania.
Ooh, I was around
to
for
see
that.
that crowd turn on, even though Hogan was the heel on it, when they started rooting for him. When the crowd turned, that was amazing. Because I love The Rock as a wrestler, not so much movies. I love The Rock when he wrestled. And at that time, you had such good competition with Triple H, Stone Cold, all the, even Kurt Angle at that time. We would be in the bar on Monday nights and people would come in and they'd say, what are you doing? Put the Monday Night Football game. It's like, nah, dude, we're watching Raw.
Yeah, man. I love it.
Those were some days.
Yo, Ruben. He said I keep this show light normally, but I feel like I got to bring up a tough question for him right now because he doesn't like rock movies. If you had to watch a Dwayne Johnson movie, which movie would it be? If you had to pick one.
Question. That one, The Rundown with Sean William Scott and Christopher Walken, was a solid movie.
Which one was that?
The Rundown was called.
The Rundown?
Yeah, Sean William Scott's like some rich asshole kid, and The Rock is hired as a bounty hunter to like track him back down. Nice. Sean William Scott from American Pie, Stifler.
Yeah, I remember that.
A pretty good one, yeah.
Oh shit, yeah. Oh fuck. Yeah, no, that's not a bad one.
My girlfriend made me go to San Andreas 3D IMAX. $30 a ticket.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What was that? It was
that was for The Rundown?
No, that was for San Andreas. She loves disaster movies.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, women. Man, I am so sorry.
Everybody's got their thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But I will tell you this. I don't want to keep you too late because I know you do have an event tomorrow. If you do want to talk a little bit about it, it's up to you. I 100% have appreciated having you on. Everybody that's listening, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. We have officially passed 4,700 subscribers.
It's tremendous.
Help us get to 5K. We are less than 300 subsubscribers away.
That's right. Let's get to 5K.
Congratulations.
I just want to get to it by the end of the year. Thanks. I'm not about to get 300 subscribers in 2 days, Ruben. He said by Thanksgiving, like that's gonna happen.
Hey, you never know. You speak it into existence, right, Jason?
Maybe
thoughts become things.
Maybe. I wouldn't be mad if it happened. But no, 100% have appreciated having you on. If you want to talk a little bit about the event tomorrow, you're more than welcome to.
Sure. Tomorrow night, I will be hosting the One Night in Chambersburg Freestyle Explosion. It's a freestyle club dance. Performers are going to be there. Abby TKA Cruz, April, and Peter Fontaine. Great acts, great feud. There is limited tickets available. I believe for the most part the show is sold out. We're going to be at the German American Club. I will be emceeing the event. And we have 5 local DJs, talented guys all around, just mixing it up. They're actually mixing on wax, no SoundCloud, no just straight up old school dance music. Just going to be a great time. It's called One Night in Chambersburg, and I went over there tonight, and I got to tell you, the place is dressed up beautifully. They got all of the street signs as table favors as each of them, merch, and it's going to be a good time. Great way to kick off the holiday.
No,
That's
100% sounds like a good time. Ruben, I thought we were about to end the show. All right.
Thank you for having me on so
Yeah.
much, John, and thank you for being so prepared that you called months ago and we were both ready to go when the time came. I like you're a pro.
Yeah, no, man. I wanted to make sure that I at least read some of the book. Obviously, you could tell that I'm so professional that a week before I was like, ah, shit, I should probably get his book. Sunday, November 21st. Oh, man. No, but I'm enjoying reading it so far. Thank you for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. Although Ruben is in the bathroom probably taking a shit. So if there's anything else that you wanted to talk about, you are more than welcome to. But all I know is he hasn't gotten us off air yet. So
All right. Books are available worldwide. That's from any distributor of fine books. That's Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, in print and ebook, available worldwide. And we're going to be working on that audiobook in Hamilton Studios soon.
yeah, no, Ruben was talking about that. He's got a whole bunch of different projects. I know you're like waiting in a line and stuff like that.
Would you, schedule depending, if I do not want to do just an audiobook of Time the Avenger of me just reading it because I have so many characters and personalities. I would love for you when you get through the book to find somebody's whose voice, if you could lend your vocals to
I would love to do
character.
that, dude. Of course.
Awesome.
That sounds
Awesome.
great. Just let me know when. I would love to do that. So, I mean, I'll read some more of it tonight. Hell yeah, that sounds like
I
a lot of
appreciate
fun,
that.
actually.
Wonderful. Yep. I think Tracy and Jen from WTF are going to be on, and we have a couple other folks. I think Jerry Petito from her show would love to be a voice. So I mean, you guys have to have good voices. So I would
mean, I
love to
think
have you for the
I,
audiobook.
I think I do okay. We already mentioned that I have a face for radio tonight. So,
That's
but
not always a bad thing.
anyway, Ruben's back finally doing his job. So, thank you, man. I really appreciate you coming on. I would love to have you back at some point. Really enjoyed the show with you tonight.
Much thanks, brother. Thank you.
All right, everybody. This has been Hot Tag Takes on HamiltonRadio.net,
Take
channel
care, Jace.
HR2
Good seeing you, my brother.
with Jason Marinko. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Help us get to 5,000 subscribers. Excuse me. We are less than 300 away, and we will see you guys in a couple weeks. Peace out.